undefeated British heavyweight prospect Dillian Whyte has had 2 fights in the past week or so since his 2-year ban for taking an over-the-counter supplement which is banned in the UK. It was a very unfortunate ban for Dillian Whyte because this is a supplement which is freely available over the counter. It wasn't like he was taking steroids or anything like that. But for some reason, the authority in the UK, the BBBFC, decided to throw the book at him and gave him a 2-year ban when other guys who had been caught for serious PED use, like Larry Olabamiwo and other people, received much shorter bans for much more serious infringements, taking steroids and what have you. So unfortunate that Dillian Whyte got penalized so severely for taking an over-the-counter supplement. But nonetheless, he's been back just recently. He's had 2 fights in the past week or so. His first fight was against a guy called God, I can't even pronounce the guy's name. Veronisa, I think that's how you pronounce his name. I'm just looking at the box right now. This guy was a journeyman, obviously. The guy was 3-1-1. Dillian Whyte's performance against him wasn't that good. He admitted that himself. His trainer said that. He was tense. He was loading up on punches. He was over anxious. He was too intent on knocking the guy out and he wasn't relaxing and letting his shots flow. And that's to be expected when a guy's been out for so long. And he reminded me of Dillian when he had his pro debut. He was fighting a bit like that. A bit tense. His shots weren't flowing. He was a bit anxious, a bit too eager to get the knockout. But in his second fight, which was just last Friday, against Tomas Mrazek. Again, my pronunciations with a lot of these Eastern European names are pretty damn terrible, so you'll have to forgive me. But against Tomas Mrazek, which was just a week after the other fight, he looked much better. A big improvement. He was much more relaxed. He was pumping his jab. He was landing nice body shots. His punches were flowing a lot better. And his opponent as well was a lot more willing to engage than the other opponent was. So I think that also helped his performance. The other opponent was very negative, really made no attempt to win the fight at all. Whereas Mrazek did actually try and land some punches of his own and did come with a little bit of ambition. So that gave Dillian Whyte more to work with. The fight is on YouTube, so just type it in and you'll find it. Dillian Whyte, and have a search for Dillian Whyte for the past 2 weeks or the past week, and you'll see both of his recent fights come up. And the one thing which did strike me though about Dillian Whyte is he don't seem to be in as good a condition physically as I've seen him before. But again, we'll probably see that condition improve as his comeback goes along because he intends to stay very active. He's got a fight coming up on the 20th of December. After his first comeback fight, he was talking about having 2 fights in December. But since his first fight is going to be on the 20th of December, I'm not sure if he'll be able to get another one in after Christmas. Maybe he will. But hopefully he gets 2 fights. And then he says after 2 or 3 fights, he's going to be looking to take on pretty much anyone in the UK. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing how Dillian Whyte fits into this UK heavyweight mix. We've got people like David Price, we've got Tyson Fury, we've got Derek Chisora, possibly David Haye making a comeback. We've obviously got Anthony Joshua and several other guys out there. Eddie Chambers, we've got, God, who else have we got? I know we've got a few others that I'm not thinking of. Ian Lewison, of course, he's also from Brixton, just like Dillian Whyte. So there are fighters out there. It's going to be interesting to see who Dillian Whyte gets matched up against. A fight with Chisora would make sense, actually, because Dillian Whyte and Chisora have sparred before. Chisora, I mean, I don't know if he'd want to take a Dillian Whyte fight right now. I don't know what he's going to do with his career after the terrible beating that he took, one-sided beating that he took at the hands of Tyson Fury. I don't know where he'd want to go, but if he wants a crossroads fight, maybe take on a Dillian Whyte. Or I'm not sure if Dillian Whyte's profile is where it needs to be at quite yet for Chisora to want to take that kind of risk. If Dillian Whyte maybe gets a win against one of the other notable guys in the British heavyweight scene, then you might see a Chisora go up against Dillian Whyte. There's always Audley Harrison. You know, Audley Harrison's always looking for a comeback, a way to come back. That might be a guy who Dillian Whyte may target, because it would certainly increase his public profile for whatever bizarre reason. The public are still fascinated with Audley Harrison. So yeah, I'm looking forward to see what Dillian can do. And I expect to see in each fight his sharpness improve, his condition improve, and his performances improve. He still made a few mistakes against Mrazek or Mazarek, however you pronounce his name. He still made a few defensive mistakes, but overall it was far better than it was in his previous fight, which was just a little less than, or little more than a week earlier. And yeah, I expect to see him continue to improve. I'm loving the body shots that he's throwing. Not many heavyweights concentrate as much on the body. And Dillian Whyte is a big guy. Okay, he's not like a Derek Chisora who's only 6'1". Dillian Whyte is 6'4". He's got extremely long arms. I'll be surprised if there's many heavyweights in the world who have the arm length that Dillian Whyte has. And he was also using his jab very well as well in that fight he had on Friday. So that's another thing a guy like him would have to develop and concentrate on and make a major part of his game. You know, having ridiculously long arms, you're going to need to really make the most of that. Adonis Stevenson's a guy who has very long arms and controls things from the outside as a light heavyweight. And Dillian Whyte, despite the fact that 6'4" is not that tall, it's a decent size for a heavyweight. It's pretty much the minimum these days that a heavyweight would have to be able to actually get in there and box with the top guys. Not necessarily pressure them, but to be able to box with them, you'd have to be at least 6'4". And with the arm length that Dillian Whyte has got, if he develops his outside game properly and develops his jab properly, then that could be a really, really good weapon for him. And one thing about Dillian Whyte, if a lot of you don't know, Dillian Whyte has sparred some of the best heavyweights in the world over the past few years. Extensively. He's been in several Klitschko training camps. He's sparred Vladimir Klitschko and Vitaly Klitschko. He sparred Tyson Fury. He sparred David Haye. He sparred David Price. He sparred former British heavyweight contender Mark Potter. He sparred Chisora, if I didn't mention that already. This guy sparred a hell of a lot of people. Okay, David Haye, as I said. And apparently in a lot of the sparring, he's been holding his own. So this is not a guy who is afraid to get his, nose to the grindstone and put in that work. He's been putting the work in. So don't think that he's just some guy who don't have heart or, is going to be intimidated by any of the fighters out there. He's definitely not. So have a look at the fights for yourselves. Have a look at some of Dillian's older fights. Obviously, there's an infamous fight between him and Anthony Joshua in the amateurs, which is all over the internet now. If you don't know about Dillian Whyte, have a look at those fights and come back and tell me what you think in the comment section below. This is Hatman, I'm out.